Gaurav. Is the vice president and group's chief quality officer and head operations for all the hospitals in the Apollo Hospitals Group. He has a lot of years of experience in hospitals, ambulatory care, clinics, healthcare IT, consultancy, and various other specialties as well. Uh, is the administrator surveyor for the JCI US, member expert panel to review the NABS standards on ambulatory care, as well as a member on the CII board. Is also, I mean, apart from various activities, healthcare activities, is the author on healthcare fiction titled as Conditions Apply.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suvin, for the introduction. Let's start with the session without wasting any time. So medical record review. I don't think with all the healthcare people on this call today, I have to tell or, talk to you about how important medical records are. They are very critical documents, from a legal perspective, from a care continuum perspective, from a communication perspective, what we need to communicate among the healthcare providers to the patients, to their family members, and to their referral doctors. So they are important from, all the ends, which ultimately affect the clinical outcomes of the patient, which could be any one of us at any point of time. So it's very important that they are complete. They are completed on time and they are legible. If we go to any of the countries outside India, most of the records, if we see, they are on the system. There is an electronic medical record system. However, in India, we are still moving towards it. We are not yet there, and I think it's going to take us some time because it's not that easy as it sounds. So obviously there are many handwritten documents, starting from prescriptions to discharge summaries to a lot of other documents that we have, and legibility becomes very critical, especially when the drug charts, the prescription orders are written. So medical record review is basically all about going through these records to understand what improvement needs to be done, and move forward in this cycle. So generally, if we talk about medical record review, there are two types of review. One is an open record review, and the other one is a closed record review. Now, open record review is more of a prospective review, which is happening when the patient is in the hospital. So, you have a patient in the hospital who's admitted in a ward, in an ICU, or in any other setup. You are looking at the records and you are seeing whether, everything is completed or not. And, appropriate care has been provided. The process of your hospital has been followed or not. And it has to be done by the staff who is generally available in that particular area, whether it is that ward or that ICU. And it actually helps to give you an immediate feedback, a spontaneous feedback to understand, okay, this patient's assessment, which had to be completed by the doctor within the 24 hours of admission, is not completed. For this patient, investigations had to be done, which the doctor wrote as a priority, but the investigation is not done, ordered, or the results have not yet arrived, or action is not taken on the results because the doctor said it's important and he needs immediately. So, it helps you to improve the process when the patient is in your domain, when the patient is in your respective hospitals or under the care of your respective doctors. While the closed medical record review is more of a retrospective review. It happens after the patient is discharged, patient is out of your hospital, and it could be a death, it could be a life discharge. Patient is out of your hospital. You can't correct anything in the medical records because it's a legal document. You can't change the date and the time later on that, but it would at least give you a picture of an end-to-end journey. Where did you not do it right? What really needs attention? Which are the areas which are not happening right in your hospital? And generally what is suggested is that a closed record review should be ideally done by a doctor, one representative from the nursing team, one representative from the dietary team or the nutritionist, and if possible, a physiotherapist as well, because these are the general 4 common disciplines who are involved in patients' care. Though there are many other disciplines also, but most of the care is provided by these top 4 disciplines. And so it's important that, they look at these closed medical records and evaluate, where the miss is, or has everything happened fine, or is there an area which needs improvement. And then, once this is done by this multidisciplinary team, this data is generally discussed, or should be ideally discussed, in committees, or the clinical governance structure that you have, so that you could improvise further on this process. So as I already spoke, that it happens on active patients who are in the hospital, or discharged patients, which could be live or death patients, or even patients who would have gone out of your system and taken a discharge against medical advice, or leave against medical advice, whatever we call it. Generally, the scope, if we look at, it's basically your inpatient areas. It covers your outpatient areas and emergency as well. A lot of times I have seen that, when we do surveys, we see that people do a medical record review, but they focus more on the inpatient areas. They don't do the outpatient areas, or definitely they leave the emergency department or the emergency area. So I think that's also very important. A representative sample of these records should be taken for the review process. So for an open file audit, generally what is suggested is you take at least 5 to 10% of the admissions on a daily basis, and you take the timeline, which is 48 hours after admission. And why we say that is because within the first 48 hours the maximum care is provided to the patient. After that, generally in most of the situations or cases, it's more of repetition of the care, or the things that are happening, or the orders which are followed. But the primary investigations, the plan of care is generally set in the first 48 hours. So you create a mechanism in your hospital wherein you pick up the patients who would have got admitted into your hospital as new inpatients in the last 48 hours before, and you look at those files and see whether they were appropriately and correctly filled, completed or not, because that would give you also an indication whether your processes are right or not, and they are complied with, or they are implemented well or not on the ground. For the closed medical record, the suggested sample size is 100%, that you should look at all the discharged medical records, again, live and death patients. So you understand what is working well and what is not working well. Once you have done that, it's good to look at a monthly or a quarterly data monitoring, and you can decide on the frequency, but it should not exceed more than once in a quarter. The team members I already spoke about. Generally, it is about people who are authorized to make entries in the medical records. And I'm assuming that, most of the hospitals do have a policy, and it is required by NABH as well as JCI standards, that you should identify which team members in your hospital are, or which category of members are allowed to make entries into the patient's medical records. So once you identify that, out of that, if you pick up the first 4 that actually who does the maximum or the most number of entries, it serves the purpose as far as the clinical care is concerned. Now, how to go about the medical record review? It's good to have a standard tool. Now, if I look at the JCI standards, there is a standard tool which JCI suggests, while we can develop our own tool as well, based on what are the policies, what are our processes, and what do we want us to check, what do we want our staff to check. So based on that, we can create a medical record review tool, which could be again different for an outpatient setting, which could be different for a daycare setting, and it could be different for an inpatient setting, or even an emergency. Or you could have one tool with identified the common parameters, and then you can have specific parameters. So it's just up to you, how you want to approach that particular point. But you should have a tool so that there is a standard review. There is something like these checklists, they always help you to standardize your processes and things. And I'm a true believer that checklist is definitely one tool that helps us to improve in a larger way. So please look at what tool you would like to use. It would help you And when you're doing it, this would help you to identify the potential discrepancies in your documentation. Now, I can give you umpteen number of examples, but if I have just to have to give you some examples, which generally we have seen are issues. For example, doctor says physiotherapy to be done daily as a physician order, but Sundays and holidays physiotherapy doesn't happen. There is a patient who may have had a TKR, and he may have had an implant. So are all the details of the implant documented, and is the education on how does the patient need to take care of the implant post discharge being provided to the patient? There's a patient who had a surgery or is admitted for a diabetic foot. Obviously this patient would need more of dressing and care and physiotherapy and all the diet control and all the other things. So are all these processes mentioned in your medical records or not? So medical record data validation or review should not just be restricted to check whether all the sections are complete or not, whether all the timelines are complete or not, whether legibility is there or not, and whether the abbreviations and symbols are used or not, or if they are used, then are they approved and do they make sense? So other than that, it is also very important to look at the content of these pointers that are mentioned in the record. Every medical record says a story. So how can we link these story together, different points, different care providers, different situations, different days, and see whether it gives you a good outcome or not, and an understanding of not. The other things that you can look at is appropriateness of orders, tests, and treatments. If you have a clinical pathway or a guideline that you follow, then variance in the outcomes as per your pathways that you would have decided, and to make sure that your medical records are adequately completed. This is just one example of the medical record review tool that we have, which we use. And if you look into this particular tool as a sample, it lists down specific forms as part of the process of the patient's journey in the hospital. And then under those or in those forms, which are the most critical elements. So now every form may have 20 fields that you expect the doctor to fill. But out of those 20 fields, which are those 5 critical fields which you want him to fill? It's like making it mandatory and non-mandatory. So, you start evaluating first whether the mandatory items are being completed or not, and you start looking at those. That would give you a picture of where you are and, what further needs to improve. This is just some of the examples, which you may look at during the open or the closed medical record review. For example, if you look at the first image, that is a death summary of a patient. While the diagnosis says cardiopulmonary arrest, but it doesn't talk about any final diagnosis or why did the patient die or what really would have happened. The second image on the top is an example where a lot of corrections have been done. When you do these corrections, it raises ears and eyes of people to understand whether this was done actually or this was done later on, kind of a thing. And in the legal court of law, it doesn't stand much. So there's a simple process that is looked at, that whenever you make an entry or whenever you make a correction or you strike off something, always make sure you sign with a date and a time to know that this was done. The third picture or the image is about drug orders. Whether the frequency is not written right or incomplete. The dosages are not written right. So there could be missed doses in the patient's medical record that the nurse may have given but not documented, so you don't know if it was given or not given. The fourth image below on the left, if you see, it's about critical value reporting. The report was received, but the action was done, not done, nobody knows about it. Consents, again, you will see that the consent forms are incomplete, filled after the surgery, or abbreviations in the consent form, which ideally should not be there. And the another example on the plan of care or the discharge planning not completed for a particular patient in that scenario. One of the ways in which how you should look at it is, you should have the analysis of all the deficiencies that you have looked at and incorporate this whole piece into your quality program. So, once you incorporate that, you need to start looking at and understanding how is this data now would be used to disseminate to your teams. Which all category of people should receive this data? Does it go only to the medical head, or does it go to every doctor in the hospital? Does it go to only the nursing head, or it goes to every nurse in the hospital, or it goes to that specific nurse for their medical records review? So, you have to figure this out in your respective hospital, but the larger you disseminate to the larger population, the better would be the chances for improvement. And, is this data used to evaluate the staff is the next question that you should ask yourself, because a lot of times we don't use this, but ideally speaking, this should be one of the criteria to evaluate the performance at the end of the year or at the end of 6 months for each of the healthcare providers. Are they following the policies, protocols or not? If a patient had to be seen within 24 hours, was he seen and documented or not? So, it's very important we look at it from that perspective. So finally, I would just like to say that, it's very important, and any of these surveys that most of us would have experienced at least one survey, all these surveyors, they look at documentation. And for medical records, it's become even more critical. And it's very clear that if you have not documented it, you have not done it. You may have done 200 things with the patient, but you can't stand and prove your, all the efforts that you have put in for the patient unless, if it is not documented. So it's very important, whatever processes follows, whether it is about assessment, whether it is education, whether it is action taken, whether it is a consent, whatever it is, you document that. You document that in the patient's medical record, whether it is paper or digital, whatever format you have. But make sure that it is done, because if not documented, it's not done. And that's very simple funda that is generally followed even in healthcare, like in any other industry. So that was broadly about medical record review, as to what medical records are, how do you review them, and how do you ensure that you use this data for further improvement in your hospital. So thank you so much.
Last question from my end to you: what is the team? You have already shared what kind of a team audits the medical records, but can you just elaborate on that? Because I found the data collection was possibly the most important in this aspect. Analysis, obviously, rest of the others will follow.
So to be very frank, in my experience with multiple hospitals across, everybody can't do this job. Even if you have 20 doctors or junior doctors in the system and you give them the job, everybody can't do it the way it should be happening. So one is that they should have the clinical knowledge. Second, what is very important is how do you link different pieces there? Because as I said, so, assume a situation, there's a patient in an ICU under the care of 3 different specialties of doctors, then there is a whole ICU piece. There are multiple other pieces coming in together. So when you're reviewing that record, how you are connecting these pieces together, how is the information flowing? What are you checking in the medical record? Which pieces are missing? So I think that kind of person who is competent in doing that, which there are people who can do it very well, they should be a part of this review. And when you get a multidisciplinary team together, then it doesn't become only the physician's job or the nurse's job. It's a team job, and they look at it, the whole record, as a wholesome product and identify areas to improve.
Thanks, Gaurav. There are a couple of questions. So let's take those.
Sure.
Is there any standard format to conduct medical record surveys?
Right. So I just showed one of the examples. If you look at the JCI's 7th edition survey process guide, they have given a standard format that they expect the hospitals to follow. But what I would suggest is, please develop your own format. For example, you have an admission process and you want the admission assessment to be done by the doctor and the nurse within 24 hours. What are the critical components in that, which you want as per your policy? you develop your own format and keep enhancing your format. The more you enhance your format, the easier it would be for you to implement and improve.
Thanks. I think every hospital has their own way of documenting medical records. So obviously the checklist also will have to reflect that those changes or those issues.
That's right.
Another question is a combination. I think it's more to do from the quality personnel or quality staff point of view, whether they can do or whether they should do such audits. Because since they are not the ones who fill up the records.
Yeah, I would suggest that the quality team members should take definitely an interest in this and, nominate themselves to do this and offer help, because that is the way they would also get an understanding of the policies that they are custodians of, that they work with the teams and implement. How well are they implemented on the ground? If you don't do that, you will be far away from the reality. You make something and people are doing something else. So, and again, it's not whether you are a doctor or a nurse or whatever your basic knowledge or understanding is. The more you do, the better you will get at it, to identify what is missing where. So I think we need to look at from that perspective.
Again, I second that, because unless you look at those records, unless you actually understand where the issues are on the records, because medical records are the most critical point in all the audit or the quality system in the hospital. If you don't actually be part of that team, you will not understand, you'll not be exposed to what issues are lay for us.
That's true.
And one more last question for you. How to validate the documentation with timelines on medical record? How to validate the documentation with timelines on medical record?
This could, it's a little difficult from the perspective that, a doctor or a nurse would have seen and assessed a patient at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you are reviewing this record the next day to check whether he would have done it at 3 o'clock or not. So that is where your open file record comes into picture, wherein, you are checking it there and then. You would know whether this particular process is happening or not. And if something was left blank and filled later, obviously that would give you an indication that, this has not happened right. So I would look at validation from that perspective. Otherwise, it's a little difficult. If you have a digital system, then yes, you don't need any validation, because you would know at what time what entries have been made. So I think in the long run, we need to move towards digital as a healthcare industry in India. I hope I've answered the question there.
One last question, because it's come from the audience, and I think it's relevant also, is from law perspective, medical law perspective, does this auditing, the medical records auditing, is it important to be shared with the patient or law enforcers?
To be very frank, I am not aware of any specific law wherein we are supposed to share the outcomes of the audit. But yes, if obviously, if any records are asked by the court of law or by the police or by the patients, because he needs to be, he's the owner of his medical records, we should be able to do that as per the processes that we would have laid in our hospitals.
Thanks, Gaurav.